Hello everyone. I was not planning to record today. It's Sunday. It's the Sunday of the Labor Day weekend and I had zero plans for any recording today. However, after reading several articles on COVID-craze being possibly due to some mistake, unintended mistake, a mistake that has lasted for 7 months and has cost the world trillions and trillions of dollars, I just couldn't contain myself. I had to talk. I had to go over certain things that I have already gone through, okay, with you during my reports, but I believe I need to repeat it because it is important for all of us who have been awake on this whole COVID shenanigan, on this COVID craze, to go on record every chance we get to put it out there so it doesn't become one of those cases, those design cases where people, the ones way up there, the deep state, can come back later and say, oh, we didn't know. Oh, we couldn't have known about this stuff, okay? It is important. So let me start with this article. And there has been several opinion pieces, news article, with the same kind of flavor, same kind of catch in the past couple of weeks. It seems like there is this intention to massage, okay? Only massage our minds, massage the unknowing people's minds, okay? That all these COVID stats, all this COVID hysteria, all these insane COVID measures may be attributed to some innocent, unintended mistakes. Okay, let me start reading a few paragraphs from one of the latest articles out there, and I will hopefully remember and add the link for you so you can check it out. Here is the title, which itself is very, very telling. The 1% blunder. How a simple but fatal math mistake by United States COVID-19 experts caused the world to panic and order lockdown. In February, US COVID guru Anthony Fauci predicted the virus was akin to a severe flu and would therefore kill around 0.1% of people. Then, fatality rate predictions were somehow mixed up to make it look 10 times worse. When you strip everything else out, the reason for lockdown comes from a single figure, 1%. This was the prediction that COVID, if left unchecked, would kill around 1% of us. You may not think that percentage is enormous, but 1% of the population of the world is 70 million people, and that's a lot. It would mean 3.2 million Americans dead and 670,000 Britons. But where did this 1% figure come from? You may find this hard to believe, but this figure emerged by mistake. A pretty major thing to make a mistake about, but that's what happened. Such things occur. Oh well. Now, those of you who remember September 11 terrorist attacks, 9/11, you know that after so many whistleblowers, government whistleblowers, came forward with disclosures, okay, with their exposés, after so many different citizen or alternative journalists put out documents, timeline to shut down what the government narrative was, okay, how things, the facts were contradicting what the government and the mainstream media, they were telling us. What did they do? Do you remember? Remember George W. Bush? After admitting that all this intelligence was available, there were all these people who knew that this terror attack was going to happen, and yet it happened, okay, by these guys in the cave in Afghanistan, in shalwars, okay, executing this kind of a grand plan and execute this biggest operation in terms of terror operation in the history of all terror operations. He came out and he said, well, you know what? This whole September 11 terror attacks was due to the failure of imagination. I mean, that should be like written everywhere, okay? They boiled it down to the failure of imagination. Similar trend is being massaged, okay? The similar line of coming excuses, coming explanations, so-called explanations are being drilled into our mind. So when it comes, we go and say, oh yeah, okay, it was a mistake. A mistake, a mathematical, statistical, numerical mistake that lasted for so far 7 months, costing the world billions, tens of billions, hundreds of billions, most likely trillions of dollars, shutting down tens of thousands of businesses here in the United States and around the world, schools being shut down, killing several nations, economy, bankrupting them, all this going through 7, even more, 8 months, due to some honest, statistical, mathematical mistake of 1% of what? But guess what? The way the media massages this, the way they are going to phrase it, and they are already starting to do that, it may work. They may be able to convince the majority of the people, not only here in the United States, but around the world, that all the lockdown, the mask, the hysteria, all the damages, trillions of dollars, all the destruction of lives, businesses were all due to some innocent, unintentional, mathematical mistake. I know those of you who tune in and watch my reports, you are not one of those people. You are not part of the majority who believe everything they are told by the mainstream media. But we need to put this into this perspective for people, okay? This was not by mistake. This is not by mistake. This is by design. I'm going to repeat it, design. This COVID craze, everything we have been seeing for the past 7, 8 months, all of it is by design. By design to achieve what? By design to accomplish what? Well, think about a plan, okay? A plan that is based on this whole belief and the theory of the survival of the fittest, okay? And you're gonna say, well, what do you mean by that? Survival of the biggest, survival of the mega corporations, survival of the superpower nations. And I will explain to you what I mean by that, okay? First, I'm gonna start domestically, okay? Whether it's here in the United States or elsewhere. When you're doing calculation, statistical calculation, you put experts around the table and say, just bear with me, okay? You just say, here is the goal. We want to make the big mega corporations, okay, complete powers of businesses. There is this nuisance called small businesses, small to mid-sized businesses, mom and pop shops. Basically saying that it is time to basically divide this entire population everywhere, whether it's here in the United States or elsewhere, into two groups. The 0.001% powerful, uber rich, mega corporations. And with that, I want you to think Amazon, okay? I want you to think Walmart. I want you to think JP Morgan's, okay? I want you to think in those terms. And that's it. The rest of the people, they are just for us, the workforce, the slaves. They don't matter. They shouldn't matter. They shouldn't have any kind of power, even that minute level of power, to matter, okay? Now think of this COVID. The COVID craze, I don't have a better phrase for it, but the COVID craze via the insane measures that we have been put through for the past 7 months. Who would benefit? Who would survive this? Look at Amazon. Amazon has gotten much richer. Then look at the guy, Joe, who has a little coffee shop somewhere in New York City or somewhere in Orlando, Florida. Who's gonna survive? Who is going to survive COVID? Starbucks or Joe? Think about it. 7 months or 9 months or 6 months of craze with the shutdown, with the mask, with all the lockdowns, with everything. Who has a chance of survival? This basically is the survival of the fittest theory. Do you see where I'm coming from? Just look around you, wherever you are, whether you are here in this country, whether you are somewhere in Italy, whether you are somewhere in Turkey, just think about it. Look around you and see who has been pushed out by this mistake, this mathematical mistake, COVID craze, and who is remaining, and who will remain, and who will be still standing. Because when we widen the lens with the same theory of the survival of the fittest, we are looking at countries as well. And let me explain what I'm telling you and what I'm trying to tell you here. Okay, when I was in Turkey, I was living this expat life in Turkey, and I just came back here last May. It's been 3.5 months. I was trying to raise awareness there. I was telling people there, okay, I was in this Aegean town of a population of maybe less than 100,000, right? Which had only 1 or 2 cases of COVID positive, not even COVID death, and 24/7 lockdown that we were going through, which went for months and months and months, etc. I was telling them that how could you comply with this insanity? First of all, look around you. Do you even see any COVID cases in this city? Do you see any logic of implementing this 24/7 curfew lockdown with military gendarme around, implementing it based on this? Look at your entire economy as a city. Tourism, okay? There are about, you go and look at TripAdvisor. Just type there, Fethiye, Fethiye, okay? Look at the numbers of B&Bs, hundreds. Vacation rentals, thousands. Small boutique hotels, ma-and-pa hotels, small ma-and-pa motels, okay? Just take a look at that. They basically killed the entire small to medium businesses related to tourism and shops that their survival was based on tourists, whether they are souvenir shops or whether they are restaurants or cafes. So how can you even afford complying with this insane measure? All the stuff that they are throwing at you. They said, but they are saying there's COVID out there, and COVID is going to kill us. So it's a matter of life and death. Okay? I said, who's telling you this? The media. Here domestically, but our media, that's what they were telling me, they are getting it from these other major media, established, legitimate media sources such as the CNN, the United States. And I was telling them, I said, look at the state of economy our country, Turkey, has, okay? And had before this COVID insanity. What is going to happen after this? Do you know that there are superpower nations who would benefit tremendously from a country like Turkey defaulting economically, going officially bankrupt? Countries that would benefit from other countries such as Turkey, let's say Greece, Italy, Spain, their entire livelihood depends on what? Tourism. Look, they don't have natural gas, they don't have oil, they don't have much manufacturing, okay? They don't have Silicon Valley like the United States has. A big part of their economy is dependent upon tourism. There are no natural resources there. Then they would tell me, and I'm telling you exactly verbatim what they would tell me. They would say, oh, that can't be true because they are doing it to themselves too. Look at the United States. They are having these lockdown, shutting down business, curfew. They are having these masks and these insane measures too. So it's not as if they are saying COVID is spreading in Greece and Italy and Spain and Turkey. They are implementing it there as well. Therefore, this was their logic. Therefore, it must be real because they are doing the same thing over there. And I had to sit down again and explain. And I said, look, are you comparing your survivability rate? Is there such a word, survivability? I don't know, but I'm gonna go ahead and use it because it makes sense. So you get it, right? Survival rate for an economy, a country, a superpower nation such as the United States, okay, or Russia, I'm just showing here, versus Greece or Italy or Spain or Turkey or Lebanon. I said, okay, what is the only lifeline you would have? Because you agree with me in Turkey and Greece and Spain that the default is inevitable. Going bankrupt is inevitable. Where are you going to go to say, help us because our nation is starving. We are dying from starvation because COVID may kill with the rate of 0.00001%. On the other hand, I can guarantee you starvation will kill in the rate of 100%, 100%. And they were already floating it when I brought up this question. They said, well, of course, we're gonna go to World Bank and IMF and say, help us. Where do these countries go when they are at the verge of bankruptcy or when they go bankrupt? Where did Greece go during the 2008 to 2010, 2011 global financial crisis, especially being hit, Europe being hit during this financial crisis? Where did they go? Where did Greece go? Greece went to Germany because, yes, they were all hit by these financial crises, but are you going to tell me that the economy and the economic power of Germany is the same as Spain or Turkey or Greece, right? So they were not affected with the same rate, at the same level. Therefore, they went to Germany. And what happened then? Germany said, sure, come on here, Greece. Here is the money. Now, just like when you go to bank to get a loan, right? Here is the interest rate. And for collateral, okay, that you're gonna put out there, you are going to put your railroad, your infrastructure, your airports, even like your bases, okay? And they did, because they had to survive. Otherwise, they would die from starvation, right? And sure enough, as expected, they were not able to pay these hefty interest rates, pay back these loans. And the German government said, all right then, yummy, yummy, let's go take over Greece, which they did. They said, you defaulted. Therefore, just like when you get evicted from your house, when you're not able to pay your payments, loans with the interest rates, etc., timely, after 2-3 months, they're going to come and they're going to kick you out. They're going to take over that house, regardless of how much down payment you had put, etc. That's it. It's the end of it. It's no different. It is no different when you're looking in terms of nations and their economy and they facing that. I said the same thing here. Whether it's the IMF or whether you're going to go and you're going to extend your begging hands and say, please, US, give us some aid. We are starving. We have defaulted. Russia is not known to give out any money. As far as I know, I don't remember the last time Russia came up with these big loans and money rescuing defaulting nations. Their economy is not the same, and their principle, their practices has not been this. But look, since the World War II, okay, this has been the scheme and the scam, you may want to say, within the Western Europe, with the United States, saying, okay, yeah, we have rescue plans, we give money. Well, there's no free lunch. They don't give money. Here it is. We are so altruistic. We love Greeks. We love Turks. We love people in Spain. And we care about humanity. We give you $2 billion until you get back on your feet. There is no such a thing in the world. There has never been such a thing in this world. It's all calculated, okay? It's like saying, oh yeah, the bank gave me a loan to buy a house because the bank believes it's so nice for people to own their homes and have the pride of home ownership. It's not about that. It's all about money. It's all about dollar signs. It's all about profit. It's all about business. It's all about business. It is all about business. Back to the design. Back to the grand design with COVID. When people, they say, well, they are doing the same measures, the crazy measures in the US too, therefore, it's not a game, it's not by design. To get us, the little countries, littler, to own us, to own us. To own us, just the way Germany owns more than half of Greece. To make the small nations smaller, and the big fat nations bigger and fatter. And it's coming to that. It is coming to that. Then you come and you say, they really are going to do that. I have a feeling they're going to do that. Probably after the elections, they're going to come and they're going to tell you with their tentacles, with their parasitic tentacles, the mainstream media, with straight face, they're going to tell you, oopsie daisy, we made a mistake. The hindsight is 2020. We should have seen that this was crazy bullshit. But we didn't somehow. And this blind period that we didn't see, we couldn't see, lasted for 6 months and 7 months and 8 months and 9 months. Oh, now we realize, you know what? It was not deadly. Those things were stupid. They were not effective. They were not needed. Masks were not needed. Lockdowns and shutdowns were not needed. By then, tens of thousands of mom and pop businesses have already been destroyed. JP Morgan may get a $5 billion package from the government, rescue package, right? But do you think Joe, the cafe owner, is gonna get any package like that? No. Joe, the cafe owner, will be permanently gone. His cafe, his livelihood, gone. Same thing with tens of thousands of other businesses. Amazon will be standing. JP Morgan will be standing. Boeing will be standing. Walmart, Starbucks, they will be standing. That's how they calculate it. Survival of the fittest by design. Look, what happened with 9/11? Those of you who don't believe that this was by design, 9/11, you may as well turn off and go away, okay? Go away. You shouldn't be here in this forum. But what did it accomplish? It accomplished several things. Expanded the government and government police state practices, the surveillance state, all part of the government which serves who? The deep state. From the NSA to creation of the TSA, the Department of Homeland Security a la Hitler. The expansion of government and expanding the government overreach, the expansion of the police state. That's one right there for you. It also opened the way for the superpowers and superish powers to go after the little one. Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya, war on terror, right? Syria. It accomplished that. It has been nearly 2 decades. There comes something even far more effective than terror attacks by planes killing 3,000 people. The COVID, the invisible COVID, with all sorts of made-up statistics. Guess what COVID has been accomplishing? It has already accomplished government expansion, government extension, police state practices. Look around you. Do you see them coming and giving you fine? Do you see them shutting down businesses for not complying with the measures, the insane, the crazy measures demanded by the government? Yes, it's achieving much more effectively and far greater, at a greater level of the same government police state practices. COVID-19 insanity. Same thing, going and gobbling up all the small countries. Look, you go and look at how many countries have already lined up for IMF loans, okay? They have already put their begging. They're begging. You know, when they go and they crawl, they are on their knees and they go and say, please, IMF, we'll give you anything you want. We can't stand any longer. COVID finished us. Give us money. And we give you everything. We give our country. Our nation, in return for the money you're gonna give us. Spain, Italy, Greece, Croatia, Turkey, all these little countries. In the end, even though there will be financial loss temporarily for the deep state in places like the United States, yes, but they always calculate this as short-term gain versus long-term gain. This is how they get some of the other superish power countries on board. It's like, Germany, you are with us? We get this and this and this. You're going to get this and this and this country. That's right. So let's play it together. Putin is in it too. Russia? Who's going to be selling the vaccines? The mandatory. First of all, who's going to make it mandatory? Who's going to demand that the little, small, tiny little nations make it mandatory? Then who's going to sell it? Do you think Spain is going to come up with their own vaccines? Belarus, Croatia? Ethiopia is going to come up with their own vaccines? No. Ethiopia is going to be pushed and forced and ordered to make mandatory COVID-19 vaccination for everyone a law. It's going to happen. Well, Ethiopia has to buy it from someone, whether it's Russia or China or the United States, probably UK, Germany, and France. That's it. Uganda is not going to make COVID-19 vaccines. Just go and add the population of the world and put the dollar number that goes with each mandatory poisonous vaccination for this flu. Crazy flu. Flu that they went crazy, made it crazy by design. This is no mistake. Don't go and massage people and say this some statistical unintended mistake. You always, as my father taught me, with any war, with any of these, you just look and see who benefits. And it's all about power and money. Who gains, who loses. Turkey, you are finished, done. You went along with it. You went along with it knowingly, and I'm not talking about the people, I'm not talking about the population, I'm talking about the governments that folded. Spain, pretty much the same. Italy. These economies were fragile to start with, to begin with. Their governments, obviously, the governments in all these countries that I'm talking about, none of them represented the people. Do you think they didn't know? You don't think that these countries' governments, their prime ministers, their elected officials, they really believe that they were fooled? It's not true. They went along. Behind the scenes, deals are made, okay? They may have been fooled by the governments of the superpower nations. Just join the drill because whatever. Because with these governments, it's not that difficult to push them, to get them do things that would mean the detriment of their people, their country. So knowingly, they went along. And you know what? When they go bankrupt, which they are going, okay? A lot of these politicians leading these countries, they have fat accounts in Switzerland, in Dubai, in London, in New York. They're not going to suffer. They're not going to suffer. It's the people. It's the 99.9%. Same thing domestically here in the United States. Design, by design. McDonald's, for sure, will survive this. Starbucks, probably, yes. They are among the 0.1%. So don't let them massage you with this coming, which is going to come. Mark my word. 2 months, 1 month, 3 months. It's already coming. Look, this was an honest, unintended, unintentional, dumb mistake they did. As was 9/11. What was it about? All the measures that you saw afterwards, what was it about? Failure of imagination caused it. They got away with it. Speaking of that, another sector you will not see shrinking, laying off people, is what? With COVID, with the designed COVID craze. The other segment is the government. Governments around the world. You look at the United States government, look at the federal government. You're not going to see anybody being laid off. Not only that, look, with CDC hiring these snitches to go and inspect the restaurants to see who is wearing masks, who is not. You know how many hundreds of thousands of jobs, both direct, also contract and subcontract via subcontractors they have created with this COVID. Look, I have my CV, my resume on, LinkedIn, and it's updated. And because of my background, because of my education, my languages, etc., I have been getting all these government-related jobs, both here and internationally. Come on, join the snitch club of the government. We have a new industry within our major big governments already, bloated governments. Just like with 9/11, agencies were added, government got bigger. Economic crisis, all the economic downturns, government will be bigger. Every place, I'm talking about everywhere, whether it's Turkey, whether it's the United States, whether it's Germany, they're gonna get bigger. And the big fats, the big deep state fat cats are gonna get fatter. That's given. Yes, by design. Anybody who tells you by mistake, and they're gonna be telling you this, I promise you they're gonna be telling you this after the elections, after the November elections here in the United States, please just say, mistake my ass. That's what I want you to tell them. Thank you all. This is Sibel Edmonds. I couldn't contain myself. I needed to share these without any scripts, without editing. I'm gonna be putting this up. I'm trying, I'm doing my share, I'm doing my part. At least I'm trying to do that. And I know you are awake. Please do the same. Do your part, do your share, and raise awareness. Thank you all. I'll be with you soon.